feel like I'm taller than you. Okay. So I guess we're gonna start with our story. Technically, I guess this is part 1, right?
Yeah.
And I guess where I want to start is just finding out, getting pregnant and just kind of like the beginning of that journey. So I'm gonna like try to tell the story, but I feel like my memory is not always the best, so you can jump in at any time if
Sounds
I'm
good. Okay. I can do
if
that.
I'm incorrect about something or you remember it differently. So yeah. So I guess we'll start with the day I found out I was pregnant. um, Funny enough, it was actually the day of my sister's birthday. So that's something I will never forget. It was in October of 2023, I guess, right? Yeah, because we're now in
Yeah, because he was
2025.
born in 2024.
Yeah, so it was October in 2023. And I just remember being at work and I was like, it's been a few days since I was supposed to start my period. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go take a test just to be safe. So I went and bought a test, but I didn't take it until I got home. And I got home and it was like the ones that are like the digital test, but it comes with 2. So I took the first one and it was like pregnant. And I was like, oh, shoot. Really? Like, I couldn't believe it at first. And then, so I took the second one just to be safe. And I was like, okay, yeah, I am pregnant. And Isaiah was at work still. So I was like, okay, in my head, I'm like, how am I going to tell him? And I kind of came up with a little way to like surprise him with it because, we hadn't been planning to be pregnant. I mean, we knew that eventually we wanted to start a family, but it kind of wasn't in the plans at the time. Um, so I was honestly just shocked that it happened. Um, but yeah, so I'll put in the little like clip of me
Showing me?
showing you.
It's a cool clip. Yeah.
Yeah, of one.
Editor, put that in. That's how you haven't had your period? We're having a baby?
I guess so. I mean, I took 2 tests, but I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I want to be overly emotionally happy, but I don't know how you feel. So
I don't know
pray.
yet. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna be a dad.
Are you happy?
I don't think I could be happier.
Yeah.
It's what I wanted my whole life. And it's right here. Actually, it's right there. So when would you be due?
Well, I don't know. We gotta figure that out.
I have so many questions.
I
How does
do
it work? Never done this before.
I know. Yeah, we'll figure it out. um. So yeah. So do you want to talk about how you felt, even though I'll put in the clip?
Yeah, it'll be a day I never forget. I was already feeling apprehensive because she was like, hold me, touch me. And I'm like, you're not an affectionate person, all right? What's the deal here? What do you want? I ain't got no money. Money's all wrapped up in the house. And so as you saw in the video, I was like, no, don't touch me. And then I held her, and then she had something in her pocket. And as you can tell by the reaction, I was just so excited, blown away, having a baby, something I've always wanted, and something my mom always said that I would be such a great father because I have so many nieces and nephews.
Yeah. So basically, like our first reaction was kind of like, what now? Like, how do we know?
What do we
What
do?
do we do? When are you due? Um,
How do we tell people? Do we tell people? When
yeah,
do you tell people? There's so
yeah,
many questions. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Can't believe we're all under one roof. It's been a crazy year. Oriana and I are happy to be here. Feels like just last week I was sleeping on my sister's couch. Now we bought this house and created it our own home. Who would have known that our relationship would have taken us this far? We both have past scars, but we're healing every day. We're so blessed to have you here today that we just want to take a moment to say thank you from the bottom of our heart. This is how families start. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here. So it means the world to us that your love is near. Near to us, so close that we just have to let you in. This little secret, so please don't tell your friends. We have a new addition to the family coming soon. It'll no longer be the two of us because our child will be here in June.
What? No! Oh my god! Oh my god! We wouldn't expect you on.
Oh my god, congrats!
Oh my god!
Wow!
Oh my god!
That was a big secret.
Congrats, man! Oh wow! That was good!
Oh my god! Is Coco pregnant?
Wow. Exactly.
Okay.
you ready?
Yep.
Okay. 1, 2,
2, 3.
Shut the fuck up! You're pregnant. I knew it! I knew it! Oh my god! Are you serious? I got it! Really? I stopped it!
Good job. No wonder she wasn't drinking. That's why I was recording and doing it. No wonder she wasn't
yeah, like I said, we weren't expecting it, so we kind of were just like at a loss. Is like, what's the next step? So yeah, basically, I had to go to the doctor just to confirm the pregnancy, and then you have to start seeing a OBGYN if you don't already see one. And at the time, I wasn't, so I contacted my doctor, and first things first, I had to ask about the medications I was on. Because one of my friends actually suggested to me, she's like, I don't think you can take those during pregnancy. So I went ahead and contacted my doctor, and they did tell me, like, yes, they are going to have to switch my medications. And yeah, so just FYI, like my medications are for high blood pressure, which I've been dealing with for, I don't know, over a decade now. What I didn't know, and what I found out when I went to my OBGYN, was that having high blood pressure actually makes you a high risk pregnancy. So, on top of having to see my OB, I also had to see another specialist, which I believe is called a perinatologist, if I'm remembering this all correctly. So, I also had to see a perinatologist, which you also have to see very often when you're high risk. And I didn't know all of that. And at the time, the doctors were basically telling me like I had to be a lot more vigilant about my medication and monitoring my blood pressure, because it was I don't know what the right word for it is, but like basically like it could cause me a lot of issues with my pregnancy, and there was just a higher risk of getting what is it called?
It's the word I'm thinking about, and I can't
I
freaking
can't
think
think
about
of
it.
the word either.
When you're high risk. You have high blood pressure, preeclampsia.
There you go.
Preeclampsia.
Yeah, so you're more likely to develop preeclampsia. So I had to be very vigilant, and basically daily I had to submit my blood pressure readings so that the doctors could see it.
Mm-hmm.
And my blood pressure was just so high. It was ridiculous. Like the doctor she was constantly changing my dosages because it just was not being controlled, to the point where they were like, okay, it seems like you're just at a place where your blood pressure just lives in a higher level. Because I was basically kind of like maxing out some of the dosages of the medications I was on.
When she was pregnant.
Correct. When I was pregnant. And even like the when I was seeing the perinatologist, she was, concerned about how much I was taking and that it wasn't really doing anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just kind of like, okay, like your baseline is basically this. And so we're just gonna have to like make sure that it doesn't go beyond that. And so I was kind of managing at this higher level, right? And they were just like, if you do develop any like new symptoms, you have to make sure you go into the hospital, essentially, right? So new symptoms would be things like extreme headaches, swelling in your body,
Shortness of breath.
But it was always kind of difficult to tell too, because these are also symptoms of pregnancy. So you're kind of like, okay, is it because I'm pregnant or is it because of my blood pressure? So that was always kind of something like, okay, I wasn't sure like how to, I guess, react to it sometimes, because I already suffered from some of these things, so they weren't technically new symptoms. So I kind of struggled with that during my pregnancy and feeling like, I don't know, I guess I didn't take it as seriously as I should have now that I look back. But anyways, yeah, so as I was doing all my checkups and all of that, everything seemed to be going normal. Lucas was growing at, the rate that he was supposed to. They did tell me that because of my high blood pressure issues, that he was going to be a smaller baby, and that it was very likely that I wasn't going to make it to full term, that I would make it maybe to, I don't know, like
36, 37 weeks.
Yeah. And yeah, like it's not, usually with high risk pregnancies, they don't make it to full term. So,
which isn't a bad thing. 1 in 4
no.
children born in the U.S. will end up in the NICU or NICU.
Yes.
Okay, 1 out of 4 children born in America will end up in the NICU.
Yes. And that's not necessarily mean anything bad. Sometimes it's just, they need a little bit more time. So anyways, but yeah, so everything seemed to be going well. Like overall, I was healthy. I did struggle a lot during pregnancy. I will say pregnancy was not fun for me. I was very much tired all the time. I was having a lot of body pains, to the point where I was basically in a wheelchair at one point, because I had such a bad, like, I guess like sciatica pain. I don't even know what it was.
After she was about 20 weeks pregnant, I had to give her a piggyback up the stairs so we can go to bed.
Yeah.
And the only time she would go downstairs was when she was leaving for the day, and the only time she would go upstairs is when I was home and to go to bed.
Yeah, that's how bad it was for me. And like just even like walking, which we do all the time. Like we have 4 dogs, so we walk the dogs all the time. So even just going and taking the dogs for a walk, I was feeling very, very like just exhausted. So yeah, it was definitely a tough pregnancy for me. And basically like once I hit my like it was about 6 months, right? I was like just 6 months.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait, let me just make sure it's still recording. Okay, we're good.
so when
6 months?
Yeah, so when I hit my 6 months is when I developed a new symptom, and my feet swole up so bad. They were like balloons. I mean, I can put a picture in here, but I also feel like it's very gross.
You got to pay for those toe picks.
Yeah, my feet swole up so bad that I couldn't even put sandals on. And at first I was just like, no, like I feel fine, this and that. And so I called my doctor, I guess. It was basically like the nurse. And she was like, did you take your blood pressure? This and that. And it was pretty high. I don't remember what it was. It was probably like 180 over something before we left the house.
Like 180 over 100, probably.
Yeah, which is high. It is very high. And so they were like, no.
Here's a graph of normal blood pressure.
So basically they were like, you need to go to the labor and delivery, like the emergency labor and delivery. So keep in mind, we don't live super close to where my doctor is. So we basically were like, okay, let's go. Like, and I'm thinking like, okay, they're just gonna monitor me, like nothing's gonna happen. So we basically just left with our stuff. Like we left, just kind of in a rush, like, okay, let's just get to the hospital. So we get to the hospital. They, take my, I don't know.
Vitals.
Yeah. They take my vitals and they were like freaking out because I guess at that point my blood pressure was in like the 200s over hundreds.
Oh, I don't remember. But
yeah,
wow.
it was bad. It was very,
Oh,
very
that's
high.
what they were giving you shots.
Yes, that's when they started giving me my medication through an IV, because it works faster that way. And then they were kind of like, okay, let's give her medication and see what happens. And I don't remember like how long they waited, but basically they ended up admitting me to the ICU. And yeah, so I was in the ICU. They were just basically monitoring me. And how long was I in the ICU for? Just for the night?
Yeah, for the night. The next morning they kicked you out.
Yeah, but they did put me on the mag drip that night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they put me on a mag drip, which is basically to help you to not get
a stroke from high blood pressure.
Yeah, from your high blood pressure. And then they also gave me other steroids to help with baby's development.
His lungs in particular.
Yeah, because I was about to hit my 24 weeks.
Like
I was a couple days until my 24 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I was in the ICU, and then the next day they took me back to labor and delivery, and basically just told me that I was gonna have to stay in the hospital
until that baby came.
Yeah. And so they were like, we're gonna try our best to keep you, so that he's still, growing inside of you, because that's the best scenario. So yeah, like I was basically every single like hour they were checking me, giving me medications, drawing my blood, and then they also, like, I think at the time they weren't giving me any like meals because they were just afraid that I was gonna have to go into surgery.
Yeah, she was eating a lot of ice chips.
Yeah, because I don't think that they were even allowing me to drink water at the time. Yeah. So yeah, and then I don't know, like I feel like my memory of like this time is very, very blurry because I was medicated, I didn't have any food. They put me on the mag drip again. I remember that. And I can't remember if they had sent me to the ICU again before, or was it after?
I don't remember.
I think it was after. But anyway, so yeah, so we're at the hospital. I honestly, I don't know, like I have very vague recollection of the time. I don't feel like at the time I felt scared because it just didn't feel real. It was just like, I don't know. It was, um, I don't know what other word to put it. It just felt really surreal that we were there. And um, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I know it was a little scarier for you. I feel like you were a lot more aware of what was happening than I was.
Yeah, I wasn't drugged up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just worried of everything. I'll never forget when they came in before they did the C-section, and they were like, something's got to give. Either baby's going to get hurt or mama's going to get hurt. And the doctor was saying how, well, mother's the vessel, so we kind of have to protect the vessel. So we have to take baby out and then just see what happens from there. And they said, we don't really tell you this lightly. And we'll give you some time to think about it, but we need a decision here fairly shortly. And you always hear in stories, and that's something that they said at the beginning, was they always say, oh, the baby's gonna live or the mother's gonna live. That's not gonna happen. So when they phrase it, it's more like you're putting one life at risk for the other one.
Right.
And at that point, at that time, it was harmful to both parties, mother and baby, if baby stayed in there longer. Baby would stop getting oxygen and mother would start to basically decompensate. Blood pressure would go up, and a lot of bad things would have happened.
Right. And, going into that, I do remember. So I would say the reason why I didn't feel as like worried was because honestly, I don't feel like anyone ever really instilled in me like how serious the situation was. Um like I knew, I mean, obviously like somebody telling you like you're high risk is like okay, like yeah, that's scary, but like they never really, I feel like, framed it in a way of like you should be worried. Um so I don't feel like I ever like took it as seriously as it should have been. Um and even so, like when I was in the hospital, like I honestly didn't think that the doctors were going to tell me like, baby's going to come now. Um so I would say that, it's not something that is talked about enough um, when things aren't quote unquote normal. And that's part of the reason why, I feel like it's important for us to share our experience, because there are a lot of people that go through this and it is hard to talk about. Because, you just constantly see all these like women that go through, what the ideal pregnancy is and the ideal experience, and that's not always the case. So if I were to go back, I wish that I would have been more aware of, the actual risks and, what I could have done. Not that I can really do anything, but I think just having the like more of the information to be prepared, even mentally, I think it's just would have been helpful. But yeah, I mean, when the doctors came in that morning after they took my blood work, it was all just very rushed. Um, Basically, they took my blood work from that morning and they were like, I forget what it is exactly that was happening. I don't know if it was like something with my kidneys or what was it?
Oh, your liver enzymes, I believe. Yeah, your liver enzymes, kidney enzymes.
One of one of those. It's so hard to remember now.
She had high enzymes.
Of something that was basically it was a sign that things were gonna get worse. And so they were like, I mean, I for me, I didn't feel like I got a choice. They were basically like, we're taking you to get your surgery in a few hours. Um, Apparently that's not exactly how it went down. I don't know. But
No.
that's how it felt to me. Basically, is that they came in and were like, you're getting the surgery at 12. And this was like at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I just felt like, I don't know, like I was like in shock, I guess, and just like, okay, this is happening. Like, we're having baby today. And again, I don't even feel like I got to really process all of that. Because I think that if I would have been in a different headspace, I would have asked more questions, and I would have probably been like, okay, like, is this really truly like my only option? Like, we can't just like wait it out a little bit more. Like, I don't know. And that's always hard because you can't change what is already done. But it was not the ideal experience for sure. And um yeah, I guess that's kind of like where we'll end it for this part, and then we could talk about once he's born.
Yeah. Something that's coming to my mind is something Dr. McCall said, and it's no woman gets pregnant saying, I'm so excited to meet a neonatologist and deliver at 24 weeks and have my baby in the NICU and see them in an incubator. Like, no, nobody wants that. Nobody's prepared for that. And not enough people talk about that. And I guess we'll talk more about it, but I'll just leave you with that little quote that really stuck with me, stuck with us.
Yeah, I would say definitely, like I mentioned, this is just something that I feel like is almost seen as like taboo, but it's also, like I said, it's very hard to talk about when you're going through it. It's all very overwhelming, and after the fact is like it's not easy to share these things. But I feel like being able to share our experience is something that will not only keep Lucas's memory alive, but it might help somebody else in the future just to like have more awareness and just ask more questions. Yeah, just don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, and don't ever feel like your questions are dumb, because like I said, like all we see out there is these highlights of people's experiences, and we don't always see the like more difficult things. So yeah, till next time in the next part, thank you, and we hope that this helps somebody out there. And if you have any particular questions you want us to answer, we are happy to try our best and answer them. We have a lot of experience in it now.
We're basically doctors.
I don't know how much we remember, but
Basically NICU doctors. We'll say that. Anything else, no.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for watching, and thank you for helping us keep our son's memory alive.
Appreciate it.